Hello everybody, welcome to Shirley Wiseman YouTube channel, and today we are going to be making applesauce. Actually it is 6:30 and I've been in the evening, I've been making applesauce since I don't know, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So I'm Aunt Sissy and today we are making applesauce with Aunt Sissy. Let me show you the first step. I have been through the process, so I've got the different stages, so in one video we can show you everything from start to finish. In some of my other videos, making jams and apple butter, I've got like several videos and we do phases. So hopefully in about 5 minutes we can get it all done and I'll show you what to do. First of all, you get your apples. We've got a variety of apples, and I had about 3 more boxes of apples earlier this morning. And some of these are variety from the produce stand, and I've been collecting these for a couple of weeks, so they're not in the best of condition, but we just cut the bad parts out. These are from the produce stand. These are some Wolf River off my trees that have been falling down on the ground. With the Wolf River apples, because they are off the tree, straight off the tree, I don't spray my trees, so they're going to be organic. There's no sprays, pesticides on the skins, so you can just cut them up and cut the bad spots off, and you don't have to peel them actually when you're making the applesauce. The other ones, because they have to have a long shelf life, so they'll be sprayed with pesticides so that they look nice and pretty and no holes, whereas you can compare how they look compared to how mine look because they've been sprayed, so the insects haven't eaten them. Now also they use wax, so they'll stay fresher longer. So you don't want that wax and pesticide in your applesauce. So, and the way I make my applesauce is just apples. We're going to cook the apples, we're going to mash them up, and we're going to can them, and voila, we're done with applesauce. We don't add anything to it but a little bit of water so they don't burn while they're cooking. No sugar. The Wolf River apples are a little tart, so we're going to mix those with the other ones. Also, the Wolf River is a kind of a mealy type of apple. It's excellent for apple butter, so it gives it that thickness for the applesauce, whereas the other ones, they're going to be a little bit runny, more runny, and so we're not going to use a whole lot of water to cook them, but I like to mix them for the different flavors. Okay, so that's the first step. You gather your apples. Second step, and you can look over here, is you're going to get your jars, and you're going to boil them for about 10 minutes so that they are sterilized. And for the applesauce, I'm going to use the pint jars. So these are 2-cup jars. And don't use the wide mouth. I'll show you why, because I used them and they didn't work too well. So you're going to sterilize your jars for 10 minutes. Then you will, after those get sterilized, you'll move them to the side and get your canner going. Okay, so the boiling water canner, and we'll put the jars, and I'm going to show you because I'm just going to get some out. So the first steps, you get your apples, you sterilize your jars, you get your canner ready, and then you're going to cut your apples, and as you can see, we've been going at it here. These are not the ones from the produce stand, so they've been peeled and cored, whereas these are my Wolf River. Those I'm just going to cut them and core them and cut them to slices and stick them in with these, with the peelings on. You could peel them if you want, but you don't have to because they're not been sprayed. The other ones I like to get the peelings off. So then after you prepare your apples, here we've got a pan over here. Okay, you're going to put them in a pan on the stove. Okay, so those are apples ready to cook, and add 2 cups of water so that they don't burn, and use a big pot. Okay, so we'll turn it on, get it cooking. Okay, so then we'll come over here. This is going to be nice and quick. And we're going to show, this is apples after they have cooked. Takes about 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So these have some of the thin slices and then some of the bigger chunks when I did the Wolf River. And some of these have the peelings on, that would be the Wolf River. So then I'm going to take a masher and just mash it up gently by hand so that it doesn't splatter. And because they're cooked and they're really soft, they're going to mash up pretty good. Some people just do it like this and then they're done and they eat it. Of course, you probably wouldn't want to eat this because it does have the peelings. Okay, then you just got that mashed up a little bit. Okay, you can see how it looks. See, it already looks like applesauce. And this is homemade applesauce, fresh apples. Whether they're off of your tree or from the produce stand. This is what you do when you have a lot of apples. And I'm actually making this because I'm going, my son and his wife are having a baby. That'll be my second grandbaby. My daughter has a 7-month-old baby, and I'm going to go see him, and he's eating now, and he's eating apples. He's already eaten applesauce. So what better applesauce than applesauce that's homemade, okay, and preserved correctly. So then the next step is we're going to take our applesauce, and we're going to put it into a ricer. I got some equipment here. So this is a food mill. My grandmother called it a ricer. So what I'm going to do is just put some in, and I'll show you, and then I've got the finished product too to show you how it looks there. So we'll just put some in, and when you put it in, it starts to, the liquid will come out first, so it's running out there. Just put that much in just so that you can see. Okay, and then you're going to, I got this ready for my jars, so you're just going to mash it through gently, and it will start coming down. You can kind of twirl it around like this. Can you see it in there, what it looks like inside? So we'll just mash them through so you can see what it looks like coming out. And this will keep in here if there's any seeds. So if your apples are straight off of the tree and fresh, you don't have to peel them. You might want to take the stems off, but you don't even have to take the seeds. You can core them, cut them into small enough pieces. You can take the seeds out if you like, but you could just leave all that inside. And as you can see, it's coming down in there, and it'll just leave the stuff that can't go through, that be the peelings or any seeds. And then I just turn this around a little bit to get the excess off. So I'm just going to put it over here so you can see it. Get my spoon. Okay, so here we got our applesauce. Okay, so it's pretty quick and easy. Well, it's been taking all day to do it. The more you add to it and the different textures, it'll start thickening up. So then I take that, and if you'll come over here, I've been storing it into a crock pot, okay? I've been putting it in here because I'll show you, I have some applesauce I did earlier, and I'll show you why I'm putting it in a crock pot. I want to keep it hot because it needs to be hot when it goes into the canner. Okay, so then the next process is we're going to put it in to the jars. I'll show you that process right now. So these jars have been sterilized. I'm just going to do a couple here just so you can see the process. I have a little grabber to get these out so I don't burn myself because they're hot. And we'll just put a couple out just to show you here how to do this. So you have a funnel here, and this is specially designed to fit on these jars. It also works for jelly jars. And then we're going to get over here and get some equipment here. We're going to need that, our ladle. We're going to move these. Okay, and get my hot pads. Because I'm going to take the crock pot that's been staying hot now because I want my liquid to be hot when it goes into the jars because the water in the canner is hot and everything needs to be hot. Okay, so we're going to take some. Okay, and we're just going to pour it in here. If you have this kind of a container that has a spout, you can pour it from that. But what's important is don't put too much in here. Okay, so let me show you how that looks now. Okay, so if you can see here, you want to leave, that's about an inch, ½ inch to an inch headspace. I might just take a little bit out of here. Okay, then you're going to just take a spatula or a knife and just do that, run it through it just to get the air bubbles out. Okay, so it'll kind of condense it down in there a little bit more. Then with a clean rag, you wipe the top off because you want to have a good seal. Okay, then you're going to take a lid, which, let me grab these. I think I sterilized these earlier, but again, these need to be sterilized, so I just dip them in my hot water. Okay. A nice rack here. So then we take our lid, we put it on there, and we grab a band. These are bands. Bands you can reuse, jars you can reuse, lids These things you can't because they have a seal on them. I don't know if you can see too well here. But now that's going to be hot. So I'm going to kind of hold it and twist. Now, what's important is you want to make sure that it's screwed on there tightly, okay? So that's what it looks like, and it's ready to go in the canner. Okay, now we're going to take some out of the canner, but this is going to be a surprise. Before we do, I just want to show you some others, just to show you the importance, do's and don'ts for making applesauce. So my first batch, as you can see, something happened here, and they separated. And I believe what happened in that batch, part of it was these wide mouth jars, but I don't think I had them screwed down tight enough was part of it. And the other part is I cooked it, so you should can them, process them for 25 minutes. In jams and jellies, on a higher elevation, you process them longer. So I actually processed them for 35 minutes. But they spewed out. So there were a couple of things going on. I think they were over-processed, and I think that the lids weren't screwed down tight enough. So then I said, well, I'm going to do another batch. So I had all these wide mouth jars, so I used them. Well, my second batch, they still did that, and I've never had applesauce do that before. And one of the jars broke. So I decided after that, no more doing them in those size jars. So I did these. Okay, see how these turned out fine, but yet in the same batch, I had some like this and some like that. Well, actually, I think it was this one, which has a little bit of separation. So these are what they're supposed to look like. That's after they've come out. Oops, that just popped and sealed. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you then the last phase. That's what it looks like, but this is how when you get it out of the canner. Okay, now you make sure, if you can see in there, there is a line on the canner, so that's where your water goes up to. And when it's boiling, it's going to boil over a little bit higher. But you need to have 2 inches of headspace from your jars to your water line. Okay, because they have to be engulfed in water there, boiling water going around them so that they seal. Okay, so now we're going to see how these look. And as you can see, I'm going to zoom in here. And I've got a lifter here, tongs, special tongs to lift them. So I'm going to move these over here to put them with my other jars. But as you can see, these have turned out properly. So I'm not totally sure why they work in these and not in the wide mouth. It might have something to do with the, just these lids fit better. Also, these are newer lids. My other, with the wide mouth jars, were some older lids I had. I didn't reuse them, and they seal. But I don't know if just because there's more room there than there is in a smaller lid. So anyway, I've decided just to do them this way. So, okay, so that's what the applesauce looks like. And I want to show you one other quick way. So if you don't want to go to all the trouble to can it, you can make it. And then when it's as soon as you get done with it, you can eat it. You can put it in the refrigerator, or you can put it in the freezer. So I'm just going to show you here after it cools down a little bit. So you can I would recommend, if you're going to freeze it, don't freeze it in such big bags, not in a gallon bag, but in a quart bag. And go ahead and label your bag first. So I put the date today, and I put what I'm putting in here. And these kind of will sit down a little bit, so I'll show you here. So we're going to put some in here. You don't want to overfill them. But if I can get this going in here. This is an easy way if you don't want to go to all the trouble to do the canning. You can certainly put them in the freezer. I've been freezing some peaches lately. I haven't really been canning them, just freezing them because I've been making jams and jellies and preserves. So the applesauce, I've got a lot of peaches in my freezer, so I don't have a lot of freezer room. And I want to take the applesauce to my grandbaby. So for me, I wanted to can it because then it makes good gifts for giving away. But if you want applesauce for yourself to eat, okay, so then once you're done putting some in there, just clean off the top there. And then you're going to let the air out of it, seal it. And then you will flatten it, okay? So, like that. And then you can put it in the freezer and then just let it thaw out, and then you'll have some applesauce, and that will be just as good. You don't have to do anything else to that. And so, anyway, that is how you make applesauce. And thank you for making applesauce with Aunt Sissy, and we'll catch you next time.